Carl McDonald, and Daniel Miguel. And I tell you guys what, it's an unfortunate night tonight. The Boston Celtics lose to the Indiana Pacers with a final score of 98-96. But I tell you guys what, and once people start creeping in here too, it was a disappointing one to say the least, because this game is, would you guys consider a must win? And I think that's our first question before we even get into initial thoughts, because I personally think this was almost a must win for the Boston Celtics. You lose to the Spurs. This is a night where I guess no Jaylen Brown tonight, but the Celtics really look to go out in a big way. I mean, they called up their guys, Amari Williams, Shulga, and Ron Harper. All of them were on the bench looking for a blowout win. But I'm disappointed, and I think they should have got this one. But we'll start off before initial thoughts. Andrew, we'll start with you, go to David, Carl, and Daniel, and back to myself. But was this a must win for the Boston Celtics?
No, I don't think this is a must win. I think not having Jaylen Brown, we're seeing how he's playing. He's playing at a superstar level, MVP level at the moment. And when you don't have a guy like him on the court, you're gonna feel his absence. And so tonight it's one of those games that the Pacers had our number. We've been beating them as of late, and they came out aggressive, fast-paced offense and found a way to beat us tonight. And to be honest, I don't think it's something you overreact to. I think you move on to the next game and focus on the horizon.
Yeah, I would agree with Andrew. It wasn't a must win. I mean, we're not really at the point in the season right now where it's a must win game for playoff seeding or anything regarding that. So definitely not a must win, but even without Jaylen Brown, I'd phrase it as a should win. I mean, we should be beating the now 9-win Pacers. They were 8-win. Granted, they're on a 3-game win streak now for the first time this season with the win tonight, but you have to win these games. You should win these games against teams like the Pacers, who are one of the worst teams in the NBA. So we should have won this game no matter who was on the court tonight.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with pretty much what you guys had just said. I feel, yeah, definitely could have been a must-win situation just because, we have been doing well recently, but it's definitely mainly on the should win, side. Yeah, we're without Jaylen Brown, and yeah, we really felt that tonight. But this is a game we can definitely, get back and I guess really improve from again. This is a team that is desperate and they're not doing too well. So giving them this win isn't the worst thing to happen. But at the same time, it's definitely a game we would have to look to for future reference when we do go up against them again and other teams such as the Miami Heat on Thursday.
Yeah. um, I feel like even though we didn't have Brown, we should have won this one. I feel like, I mean, you had other players like White, obviously, and Pritchard, and Keita, and some of these other guys on the team that could have done the job against us. But I think guys like Siakam just made it hard for us to win that one. And yeah, I think it wasn't a must win, but it was a should have won, or should win, like David and Carl said. Um, but yeah, we play them again 4 games from now. Hopefully, Brown is gonna be healthy by then, and hopefully we can then take care of business.
I was trying to find the unmute button, you guys, but yeah, I agree. I like David's reference. It's not a must win, but it's a should win, because again, this is a team that you should capitalize. And David, I will admit, I know I was gaslighting you guys before we were on here. I don't think the Celtics are actually going to tank. I was gaslighting everyone into that, but I do have to say though, it's a disappointing one. This
You,
is one.
you said that phrase about 6, 7 times. It was annoying me.
Andrew,
It is good to be back. I'll just say this quickly. It is good to be back. I apologize. I was out for a little bit. I'd take some time to prepare for the 6-7 games. I'm a 6-7 athlete now, so just had to take some time away from that. No, I had the flu. I had the flu. I could not put up a flu game here, so that's why I was absent for a bit. But it's good to be back. And
Welcome back, David. Welcome
oh,
back.
we're clapping for me
Welcome
having
back.
the flu. No, I'm just kidding. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Andrew, I have to say you're always on cue with those beeps. That's why Andrew with that soundboard is just. Can we give him another clap? Can we give a claps for you, Andrew?
Oh, it's a problem. The soundboard's a problem. I'm not gonna lie. You may have to take it away.
No, we're not taking this away. This is what makes us real.
Might need some regulations on the soundboard, but that's for another time.
But I want to go off with my initial thoughts though, because again, I think we're all in the agreement that it wasn't a must win, but it's a should win for the Boston Celtics. But my initial thoughts from this is, people were stepping up in absence of Jaylen Brown. And I loved Baylor Shireman getting the start. Obviously, a -8 in the plus minus didn't really do a lot and wasn't that defensive key person that we loved seeing against the Spurs. But 2 steals did a little something, but I really want to highlight too, and we're going to get into this once we do player stats, but Jordan Walsh was incredible tonight, and I'm very impressed with his step-up game. So this is a game where, we even talked, I don't know if it was a few recaps ago or if this was a podcast, but we talked about Jordan Walsh, being hot and came back down to reality. I think it was episode 82, so go check that out. But I think in reality, though, it's basically, I don't know. We'll have to crack into that. But, I think overall, from a team perspective, they did all right tonight. I mean, only they out rebounded them by 46 rebounds opposed to 40. So that's something. But that's my initial thoughts. What about you, Andrew?
Yeah, I think once again, no overreaction. Obviously, not having Brown in the lineup is a huge blow. But tonight, I think I'm the opposite of you, Griffin, with the Shireman start. Not to butt heads, but I kind of was confused on it because you have Siakam, you're guarding Siakam in the beginning of the game, getting these rebounds, touches inside. And to me, that kind of sets the tone for Siakam throughout the game. And I think obviously Walsh has not been playing his best basketball, but that's a game, it's a guy that you want to put on Siakam to start the game. So I think Missoula, this game, questionable starting lineup. Overall, I think the Celtics team just couldn't really find rhythm. A couple turnovers here and there that were costly and it forced that gave them this loss. But another thing too, I think the Celtics team definitely kind of struggles down late in games. I think they're 8-10, potentially 8-11 now, and they sometimes don't find a way to close out games. And I think that is something that the Celtics need to continue to work on, and they need to find ways to get better looks late in the game and take care of the ball to be successful.
Yeah, just a very ugly game. I mean, we lost by 2, but it was really just a slugfest from start to finish. I mean, we didn't even crack the 100-point mark, and we scored 56 points in the first half. Only scored 40 points in that second half. I mean, we really just struggled to get the ball in the basket, and it honestly felt like at times there was just a lid on the basket for the Celtics, especially like you touched upon, Andrew, down the stretch where it was like we're down by 2, down by 1, down by 4, and we need a clutch basket, and we just couldn't get it to fall. I don't have a ton of qualms about like the shot selection. I do think down the stretch the shot selection was poor, where we were forcing things to try and tie it up or just make it all back in one play. I thought Pritchard down the stretch and White took some ill-advised contested threes to try and get us, tied or within 1. And it took us all the way until the 33-second mark to finally tie it back up and climb all the way back. We really got crushed in the important margins. We did a good job scoring in the paint. We outscored Indiana in the paint 54-38. But on the flip side, we were outshot from three. Indiana hit 16 threes to our 9. So that's 21 extra points that Indiana got over Boston in the 3-point margin. So that just killed us right there. Credit to the Pacers for their game planning, for keeping us off the line and keeping us from knocking down those shots. But, the Celtics had their chances to win this one. Disappointing. We got to clean this stuff up. But again, like Andrew also said, it's just one of 82 games. This is one we should have won, but we can't really let this snowball. I mean, this is 2 in a row we've lost now, so we gotta get ready for Miami on Friday. So, just move on to the next one. Wasn't the worst effort I've ever seen by any means, but I love what I saw from the guards too. I mean, the guards stole the show tonight. I mean, Peyton Pritchard was great from start to finish. Some of the best playmaking I've seen from him in his career, and he scored over 20 points as well. Anthony Simons had his moment in that second quarter, and then Derek White had his moments too, here and there throughout the game. So the guards were the ones who kept us in the game tonight, but obviously, unfortunately, it wasn't enough.
Yeah, pretty much what he said. Guards were taking over. That's one of the benefits that we had with this game. But in general, one thing that we should try to clean up and really improve on is closing out these games, especially when we are getting this close, and especially when it comes to a team as desperate as the Indiana Pacers. You don't want to afford them going on this run. You find your way to climb back up, and then like Dave was saying, that you can't just jack up all these shots towards the end when time is winding down. You can settle for a layup and potentially getting a foul shot or two out of that, and so on and so forth. And this is a problem. I'd say this is one of the main problems that the Celtics have been dealing with for seasons now, and I would hope that at some point, hopefully soon, this is something that they can clean up and hopefully really show their growth from too.
Did we lose Daniel? Jeez, I went.
We got a blizzard down there.
We got
frozen. He's frozen.
No.
Daniel. Do we have a sound effect for that for Daniel? We lost. He's with us.
I gotta get on that sound effect.
He's with us, but he's not here.
That's my bad.
We might have a dead laptop or something. I'm not sure, but
no.
But I guess, yeah, I think he's I think we lost Daniel momentarily.
My bad, fellas.
He'll be back in 6-7 minutes.
Here, while Andrew's messing with that, let's pull up the
do me that.
Quarters. So, David, if you wanted to break down the quarters for us, because was one where it was you see the blue. I mean, there's more blue than green in this game. So, break down for us, David.
Yep. So Celtics came away from the first quarter up 24-19. Lowest combined scoring first quarter of the season for the Celtics, with only 43 points scored between the Celtics and their opponent, the Indiana Pacers. Hauser and Quinn led the way. I'm not going to do stats. I'm sorry. That is not my job tonight. I'm going to stick to the quarters. But as a team, the Celtics shot 9 for 19 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, and had 4 turnovers after that first quarter. At the half, the Celtics still had the lead, 56-53. They were shooting just under 50% from the field at 23 for 48 at the break, but 6 for 19 from 3-point range, and then 5 turnovers at the half. By the end of the third quarter, the Pacers were holding a 79-77 lead. Celtics were shooting 33 of 69 from the field, 7 of 27 from deep, and they were up to 10 turnovers. They had 5 turnovers in the first half alone, or they had 5 turnovers in the first and second quarter total, And then that third quarter alone, they had 5 turnovers to bring the cumulative total in the game up to 10. And then obviously the Pacers, as we've talked about, ended up winning this game by 2, 98-96. Celtics shot 40 of 88 from the field, 9 for 35 from deep, and finished the game with 12 turnovers. So, really, as I alluded to earlier, dove off a cliff statistically with the shooting. We only made 17 field goals in that second half. We only made 3 threes. We shot 3 for 16 from deep in that second half. And obviously, Indiana, as I talked about earlier, was able to capitalize on that. And then we had 5 turnovers in the first half. And then in the second half, we had not 6, but 7 turnovers. So 12 total turnovers in the game for Boston. Just unfortunate statistics there. I mean, it looked like Indiana was going to run away with it in that third quarter. They were up by 13, 73-60, but Boston went on a 17-6 run to end the third quarter to draw within 2. But obviously, Indiana was able to make enough plays in that fourth quarter to win it. So obviously, the stats tell the story there. And as I talked about, Indiana capitalized on the more important margins to get this victory.
Yeah, and I wanna give a little mention too before Carl goes into the quarters. But I have to say, one thing I have to give the benefit of the doubt to the Celtics about is, the fact that they've played a lot of basketball games recently. And, again, they're a young team. They shouldn't, it's a long season. Like, everyone's going to get tired. But they've played a lot of basketball games. So this is much needed rest between now and Thursday. And I think that's super important for them. But, Carl, if you wanted to break down the Indiana Pacers stats, because they had some players that went off tonight, and give it to us.
Absolutely. So pretty much we had, a game where 4 Pacers players were scoring in double digits. You had Walker, Huff, Nebhard, and Siakam. But mainly when you're talking about this game, you want to highlight Siakam and Huff, how they were playing. First, we'll talk about Siakam. He scores 21 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, has himself 2 steals, 1 block, and was over 60% in shooting and had the game winner. Easily the best player of this game. The Celtics could not, find an answer to really stop him. And yeah, he went off and was essentially the MVP for this game and, of course, for his team. Jay Huff, though, kind of surprising there, but, not at the same time, not. He's back.
Man, yo.
Daniel, can we give him
Sorry about that, guys.
Sorry, Carl. We don't.
No, you're good.
Where's the
My
class?
phone died. I have a bad habit of not charging.
Oh, Daniel, we were worried about you. It's cold out there.
He has a heart.
Yeah, sorry. We're
right.
for you, Daniel. Everyone, can we get W's in the chat for Daniel?
Glad to be back.
Welcome back.
Good to be back. All right, go ahead, Carl. Sorry about that.
No, you're good, man. You're good. We're glad to have you back.
That's so funny because as soon as I started talking, it just died. Yeah, and it was funny.
Well, we love to have you back.
But yeah, with Huff, I say surprising because you would have expected at least Nebhard to be like the second best scorer in this game. He ended with 13, 6, and 9 himself on, 36% in shooting. But Huff, goes off and has himself essentially the same type of game that Siakam had with also 20 points on the same exact shooting percentage. So, that was very interesting and further proves that the Pacers, made a good decision in picking him up during the offseason with how productive he's been. He's actually kind of a sleeper player as well. So, of course, mainly those two, Siakam and Huff, were the best players. Nebhard didn't do too bad, but, of course, wasn't, good enough compared to those two. And Walker gives you 11 and 7, not too bad from him. But other than that, that's pretty much the Pacers' stats Siakam and Huff were carrying.
Yeah, and I want to ask a question because this is off topic, but I was watching the NBC Sports Boston broadcast. Does anyone know why Brian Scalabrine wasn't doing it tonight? Did they say that at some point?
He has a contract with contractual agreement with the NBC coverage this year. How NBC, the national network, picked up working NBA games this year. So he's a contributor to them as well. So he was just helping them with their national Celtics broadcast tonight.
Okay. Okay. All right. That's what it was because I don't know. Maybe when Cedric is doing it, maybe we have a bad record. I don't I don't know, but I want to what's not in a negative record though. Hugo Gonzalez plus minus tonight because they talk a lot about that on the broadcast, and I want to highlight that +4 plus minus, and didn't really give you much. Had 2 points in 15 minutes. Again, Andrew made the argument earlier with Baylor Shireman getting the start, and I agree. I think he's a better player off the bench. Definitely got him a lot more minutes, played 20 minutes tonight, but really didn't see a lot from Baylor Shireman. And, I think that'll come with time too, because he's a player, and you guys could chime in on this because I want to hear what you guys think, but I think he lets the game come to him. He's more of a Baylor, a Derek White type player where he'll let the offense flow to him. But, the team doesn't trust him enough yet to kind of kick it to him over on the wing because, again, Baylor, okay, 0 for 3. But, if he gets more shots from the corner, I think he's going to be more of that type player. What do you guys think, though? Do you guys have anything to chime in on that?
I would say he definitely has the potential. This is a guy who can be reliable just by doing the little things. There's some of those rebounding skills and also tips to when the ball is up in the air. So definitely, with him being so young and needing a bit more development, he has the potential of being that Derek White type player or, something even more unique. And I didn't even get into his passing. That's also very underrated and makes him even more special. So not even just that, he could essentially be the next Rondo if he goes on to, really develop in the way that, he's doing. So yeah, definitely. I believe in Baylor Shireman. I think he has a lot more potential and can not only sharpen those specific skills even more that I just mentioned, but more skills that we're not even thinking about at this time.
Yeah, because and you guys could tag along if anyone else has anything, but he's not the type of player that's going to give you 30 a night, I don't think. But he's the type of player that's going to create offense and be a defensive menace. I that's what I see from him. He's a hustle player. And there's a lot of times where Baylor Shireman's out there and we're like, "Oh, why is he even in?" Because this is a year again, still the Celtics are going to fight this year, but it's still an opportunity to get players much needed reps. And you're not going to let Baylor Shireman go back to the G League. He needs to get those reps up with the Boston Celtics, and he's going to make mistakes. That's what young players do. But anyone else have anything on Baylor Shireman?
Well, is Baylor Shireman really young? I mean, he's 25.
He's not, but
he came out of college late. A guy at 25, you expect there's guys at this age are in prime. And personally, I don't think Baylor Shireman has the athleticism to be in the league. I think there are more athletic guys that can do his job equally as well. And I like him. I think he's scrappy. I think he can rebound the ball. I think he brings those intangibles to a team, but I don't see him being a player that, to me, I don't see him being a player that like you're going to late in the playoffs when you need someone to pick you up and give you something of importance. And to me, that's kind of where I look. And obviously there's still, it's almost a diss, but I see him as a regular season type of player, to be honest. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I think he's talented. I think he's good, but he's missing some athleticism piece in my opinion, that the NBA is continuously evolving towards. So I think they're continuously phasing out that type of player.
But this is what I have my argument in, and I want Daniel and David to chime in on this too, because I want to hear your guys' thoughts as well. But my argument with this is, again, older player like you mentioned, and that's the tough part because the older players you expect to do stuff now. But I think, even with Broom, with the blue coats for the 76ers, he's a guy that isn't even seeing the NBA court, So I think, those older players, you expect them to be something and you're not going to get, so you want to utilize that right away from them, but you're like, again, they have to get acclimated to the NBA. So I think it could still come, but it's like, it needs to come a lot sooner because, again, he's not 21 years old. He's not. But what are your thoughts, David and Daniel?
I think you're spot on, Griffin, with your argument for what Shireman's future can be in the sense of him being a hustle player on the Celtics. Like, I get if you want, championship teams have a hustle player. Not a guy that's going to lay up the score sheet for you, but a guy that can come in and bring in a spark and will a team from a deficit, or just when a team is starting to crumble a lead, you bring someone in, just get the energy back up. Like for the 2024 season, that was O'Shea Brissett for the Celtics. Just a guy that could come in, muck things up, not lay up the stat sheet, but would bring the energy. I think that's the avenue Baylor Shireman has to go, probably to stay in the NBA at this point, as brutal as that may sound. I think, we get good spurts of Baylor Shireman, and it's not any knock on Shireman, but, the expectations are not sky high for a guy that, was selected at the end of the second round in this draft. But I've said this before on the program, and I stand by it. Like, I think the last 20 games of the season last year, when he got more minutes, I was impressed with what he was giving us. Granted, it was towards the end of the season, a very small sample size, but I think he does things good, but in spurts. I don't know if he can consistently give you 20 minutes at the NBA level, but I like what he can do for us in spurts. I don't know what his future looks like in the NBA. I would have said at this time in the offseason that, I hand up, I was willing to trade Sam Hauser for salary cap purposes because I thought a guy like Baylor Shireman could fill that role. Now, someone like Ugo Gonzalez and even Jordan Walsh have surpassed my rankings in terms of who I would put above Shireman at this point. But I still would be totally fine with the Celtics keeping Baylor Shireman on the team as a reserve. I think it's just not ideal if he's ever starting games. I mean, obviously tonight,
weird. What are you going to do? Brown,
Brown being out, being shorthanded. Like, you can throw anyone in there. It is what it is. It's one game out of 82. But I think the path for him moving forward in the NBA is as a reserve. But we're obviously working with the coaching staff to get better. He's around some of the best coaches in the NBA, so he's in good hands with that. But I think his path moving forward in the NBA is as a reserve. But I do like what he can do for us in small spurts. But I do think that there are better internal options already on the Celtics that can surpass him on the depth chart and offer more value moving forward.
Yeah. Well said. What about you, though, Daniel?
I kind of feel like a few games ago, I think, or like a few weeks ago, we were talking about giving him more minutes and giving these guys like Walsh and Gonzalez that were mentioned by David also more minutes. But it kind of gets to a point where like you keep giving them like more minutes, or you're giving them those minutes that I guess you think they deserve, or the other guys think that they deserve, but you're not seeing like much from those added minutes, especially when it comes to Shireman. I think thank you, David, for mentioning it, because I was gonna say the same thing. At the beginning of the season, we were all talking about Walsh. Shireman being Hauser's replacement. And up until now, we have not seen that jump in terms of consistency, in terms of shooting, um, in terms of what he gives us with the minutes he's getting. I agree with David. I think in spurts, or he can offer a lot and like off the bench, and as a reserve. But I think this is one of those players where like giving him more minutes, I don't know. I'm just like I'm not seeing much from him with giving him additional minutes. Um, I guess it would depend, like Griffin said, on how many shots he gets. If he gets more shots, then that changes. It changes a lot of things. But I don't know. I don't really see him having a future role on the team. He's one of those guys where, like David said, you said it perfectly there at the beginning of the season. I was like, yeah, Hauser can go. Like one of those moments where it's like, Hauser sit down. We got Walsh, but it hasn't really turned into that. And I get it. It's early into the season. There's still a lot of time where Shireman can figure things out. But um, yeah, I'm not feeling as high on him as I did at the beginning of the season.
Well, Carl and I are believers in Shireman. We're the believers, Carl. We're the Andrew, do you have anything else though to rebound, or is that pretty much it with you and Shireman? I get it. I mean, I get the beef with him. You're just he's too good. I'm just playing. I'm just
No, and there's definitely no beef with him because I think he still
there's no beef.
He still
at all,
contributes a lot of
yeah.
Like I said, I really thoroughly like his ability to come off the bench and make an impact, like to disrupt the other team and find ways to be scrappy and dive on loose balls, take charges. Like to me, that's super, super important in a player. But
athleticism.
I think defensively, yeah, that's helpful. But I also think there's other things that come into play when you're just being scrappy doesn't necessarily mean you're always a good defender. I mean, I think sometimes you could still be broken down and they can still get to the rim on you. You can still be a mismatch in the post. People can still seek you out. Like, I think there's still a limit, in my opinion, to scrappiness. It comes down to technique and a lot of different factors, athleticism, all of that. Obviously, you can make up for it. I mean, look at TJ McConnell. Look how far his career has come. He's not the most blessed physically, and he's found a way to make an impact and be a defensive menace. But Shireman still he needs to bring something else to the table, in my opinion, for him to be a consistent player within our system, within our organization.
Yeah, well said. But I want to keep going up this, and we'll save the Shireman chat for episode 83. So you guys keep your eyes peeled for that on Wednesday. Just have to say, keep your eyes peeled. But Andrew, can we get the beep? Can we get the beep, please?
No, I'm peeling that. I'm peeling this beep. I do not.
Why
he didn't say it. He didn't say anything, so
I did not say it.
He's clear.
He didn't say it.
I'll take the F and fine. I'm complaining about the officiating.
But as we keep going, Luka Garza tonight, 6 points, 6 rebounds, had an efficient night tonight. Sam Hauser again continues to get the start, had 8 points, 8 rebounds. And we talked about it, and I don't remember who said it earlier, but Anthony Simons, at one point was a great addition to this team, and it becomes more and more evident that, and again, we'll talk about this tomorrow. Well, I guess it'll be on Wednesday, but go check it out, episode 83, about Anthony Simons. It gets, the more he keeps contributing, the less and less you want to trade him. Again, tonight had 16 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, had a great night. Derek White tonight, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. That's kind of the game that you see consistently from Derek White, and I love that because, that's what Derek White will bring you, and that's what you need on a team. You need that all-around player. And then Peyton Pritchard tonight had 23 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals. Great night. I mean, again, I think David mentioned it earlier. He stepped up in the absence of Jaylen Brown, and that's huge for him. And Pritchard always tends to do that. But then Neemias Queta tonight had 15 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. And he just keeps growing and growing as a player. And I love to see it. But the last player I want to kind of mention, because I said we were going to talk about it, is Jordan Walsh. and we could just talk about it a teeny bit, and then we'll let it go because again, devastating loss. I'm devastated, you guys. I'm devastated. But Jordan Walsh tonight, 6 points, 9 rebounds, 3 steals, 1 assist. If the Celtics won, I would have voted him CNR MVP. I don't know about you guys, but I thought he had a great night. But does anyone have anything on Walsh? Because we talked about him declining, and tonight he bounced back up, and I think that's what you're gonna get from Walsh. This is my opinion. I think he's gonna have bad games where it's like, all right, there's a better option, but he's gonna have games where the game is right for him, and he's gonna go out there and be a dominant player. That's my opinion on Walsh. I think until he could get a consistent way to play his game, Mr. Clean is taking out the garbage. Mr. Clean is taking out the garbage. But anyone else have anything?
Yeah,
I thought
think.
Mr. Clean was the one that
go
wiped
ahead.
down the tables. No, just
Yeah.
kidding.
Well, Brown.
Okay.
Well, all right. What are we calling him here? We got either the garbage man, Mr. Clean. What else? The Wolf on Wall Street, and then who? What else?
Wall
we got?
Street. I like
Wall
that one actually.
Yeah.
What up, baby Derek White?
Baby Derek White. All right. Baby Derek White. Daniel, what you got from Baby Derek White, though? Where are we cooking with him?
I was gonna say I agree with you. We talked about it before starting, and I said me and you were both on the same page that we're gonna give him the CNR MVP. I like what I saw from him today, and especially in that fourth quarter. I mean, 2 for 2 from the field, can ask for much more from him. A rebound, and assist, and a steal, I think, as well, and almost a block that actually got credited to him at first, but then they changed it to Keita, which is understandable. But I think he played a big role in that fourth quarter and keeping it a close game. But yeah, I think the same thing that could be said for him could be said for most of our bench, which I talked about this before. I think it's kind of a bad thing. I think what could be seen as a bad thing is the consistency with most of these guys on our bench. I guess most of these guys that start some games, but I think you put Walsh, let's see, Walsh, Gonzalez, Shaman, all 3 of them in the same, and Hauser as well in the same conversation where um, we like what we see from them when they play good, but that only happens every once in a while. Like they'll have 1 good game and then 3 bad games after that, or and so on. But I think consistency is what we're missing from most of these guys. So I'm just praying and hoping that at least one of them just finds their rhythm. It looks like Simons is becoming that guy that is finding his place in his role on the team. So hopefully that these performances from him become more permanent. But I like what I saw from Ross today.
Yeah. And anyone else got anything on Baby Derek White, Wolf on Wall Street, Mr. Clean, the garbage man? Anyone else got anything?
What about the recycler?
The recycler.
That's dope. No, that's dope.
The recycler. He's recycling.
He's just been one final point on Jordan Walsh. And not always known for lighting up the stat sheet, but I feel a lot more comfortable just with what we've seen from him this season and his growth to be a contributor off the bench for the Celtics moving forward. He's really just at the right place at the right time on the court, like whether it's just lurking in the corner for corner 3 in the post office like we used to always see Celtics fan favorite Grant Williams do. I know everyone loved Grant Williams when he was here. He was just such an electric, amazingly loved player by everyone in the fan base. I'm starting to get shades of Grant Williams when I see Jordan Walsh just lined up in the corner, waiting for the ball for a corner 3. And then he's just bringing the intensity. He's another guy who brings the energy as well. I mean, we saw him and TJ McConnell get into it in the last Celtics-Pacers matchup a few weeks ago. So love the energy there. And he led the team tonight off the bench with 3 steals. So he's bringing the defensive intensity as well. So, again, I think Jordan Walsh is just your typical bench piece on a championship team, in my opinion, moving forward, where it's a guy that can, not light up the stat sheet for you, but can provide quality minutes and get you some steals and knock down a shot here or there. So I don't know. I feel, or I do know, I feel a lot more confident with Jordan Walsh as a piece on this Celtics team and part of the Celtics core moving forward.
You know, I have to say, um, I have to give it a little time out because the other night I was watching one of Carl's videos on the Cage Express. Go hit it with a follow on TikTok. But what was it? Was it TJ McCall? No, you said CJ McCollum. And you said McDonald. And that was the funniest thing.
I
You guys have
botched it.
wait. You have to say what happened because it's the funniest thing, and everybody go watch the TikTok. I love what Carl did with the TikTok, so everyone go watch it after this. But
I pointed out the fact that I botched it is like the names were they just sounded too familiar. TJ McConnell, CJ McCollum.
I watch it all the time, but he would go over it and say McCollum. I loved it. It was great.
The editing, the name in there. This is
So everyone go check out his TikTok. You guys will understand why it was great though. I'm not bashing on it. I loved it. It made it 10 times better. So everyone go watch that after. But we'll go around. Andrew, final thoughts on this loss. Didn't even get into the triple digits. Both teams didn't get into triple digits, but any final thoughts on this game?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. No triple digits back-to-back games with the
Yeah.
Spurs as well, which is insane. But I think there's some Simons. I think he's playing really, really well, but I think he is a volume scorer. I think he needs the ball in his hands a lot to get hot. He needs to get up a lot of shots to find his rhythm. And tonight, I feel like with the absence of Brown, I think we could have ran the offense a little more through Simons tonight and given him even more opportunities to get looks. He had 15 shot attempts tonight, probably the second highest on the team. But I think tonight with Brown out, there's a lot of shots to be replaced. And I think why not give them to Simons? Yes, you don't want to get out of rhythm. You don't want to just give Simons the shots just because obviously you want to play within the flow of the offense. And if Simon's not hitting them, if you're not getting good enough looks for Simons, then obviously stray away from that plan. But I think a game like tonight, when you have a high volume like Simons, I think you got to utilize him even more because we know what he's capable of. When he played on the Blazers, he's showed us in spurts this season his ability to knock down shots and really fill in the stat sheet from the points perspective. But I do think tonight, give him even more opportunities to put the ball in the hoop and see what he can do for you in a game where you don't have Brown, your best scorer on your team.
I agree with that take. Before you go, David, I agree with that 100%. I think, you obviously Pritchard takes over these games, but again, you mentioned it. And I think I was talking with Carl and Daniel. I don't even know who I was talking this with, but we were talking about it. I think it was Carl, but giving Simons more opportunities. Again, he's been so consistent, and you nailed it right there, Andrew. On a night, no Jaylen Brown, give him the ball. He can score. I mean, he was averaging like 26 last year or something like that. Like he can score the ball. It's no doubt. But David, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I want to take a little bit more of a positive approach here before we log off because the fact that the Pacers hit 7 more threes than us and we still only lost by 2 is something to hang your hat on. I mean, the fact that we lost, a loss is a loss. Like, we should have won this game as we touched upon in the first segment, but we were able to still hang in there even without being able to keep up with the Pacers shooting wise from deep. I would say just biggest thing to take away from this game is we just got to clean up our discipline and our execution late game. I mean, this was another test like Andrew had talked about a lot earlier in terms of another game that we played in crunch time. And I mean, we still have more than half the season to go, but got to clean this stuff up because we're only going to have more crunch time opportunities and games as the season progresses. So that's just really the biggest thing for me to take away from here. But bit of a weird game to recap, given that, no one expected this result, number one, but number two, the Celtics were missing their best player as well. So just don't let this snowball, especially into Miami. Should have Jaylen Brown back for Thursday. And yeah, just hopefully we can get the win. We wouldn't want this losing streak to go to 6 or 7 games.
I see what you did there. And I switched Carl and Daniel around because I was thrown off. So, Carl, you're next because Daniel was last first. I was just thrown off, you guys. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Good. Thank you for that. But I actually agree heavily with both you, Griffin, and Andrew. Yeah, pretty much when it comes to Simons, that is somebody that we should have relied on even more. He was very hot in this game. He was really hot in our MVP after the Bulls game. And we really needed him for, what was it, the Nuggets and or the Spurs game that we recently had as well. So definitely when it comes to Jaylen Brown either having an off night or just in general not being there, we don't only have to rely on Derek White and Peyton Pritchard, who again played well. We can also rely on Simon, somebody who has now been more comfortable and understanding of the role that he has on this team. And also, like David said as well, too, we got to get better at cleaning up, towards the closeout and finishing in the game, too.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway everyone can agree is closing out. I think I'm going to lean a little bit more into the negatives, the opposite of David. I think, yeah, closing out games. I think it's not the first time it's happened for the first couple of last seasons where even when we have Tatum on the court, like fourth quarter, like 3 minutes left, and we're just chucking up these shots for no reason, or like you see like Tatum or Brown or anyone on the court just taking a three in a situation where we could have held the ball maybe for a little bit longer, set a couple more screens and find a better look, or maybe go inside and look for something else there. But yeah, closing out was a big issue for us tonight, and I think turnovers late in the game was as well. I think turnovers, in terms of turnovers, I think we only had 11 tonight, but there was a couple of those 11 came in that fourth quarter, and that was big for us in terms of that loss, and um, Indiana taking advantage of them. So I think we could have played a little bit cleaner tonight, and not only in terms of taking better shots, but also limiting those turnovers. But on the other hand, I will mention something positive. I saw a lot of steals from our guys today. A lot of them had like two or more steals. Um, so I like that. I like that. We're defensively going for those steals and just staying with our man and seeing what happens. So yeah, I like the amount of steals we had today.
Yeah, well said, you guys. I tell you what, even though the Celtics lost, it was still a fun one tonight. But
Agreed.
that being said, you guys can catch us for the recap again live on Thursday after the 7:30 game against the Miami Heat. And make sure to tune in Wednesday for the CNR podcast, episode 83. So check that out. And with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and turn on post notifications. And we will see you guys with the next one. Peace, guys.
See you.
Take care.